Welcome back to the channel for another video. Today I'm back in the seat and we're back talking about Wrexham Football Club. I have the tough task today of ranking every Wrexham player so far from their start in the Championship season in the classical grade ranking system, A to F. I'm going to be giving my spin on this, and of course, as always, I'd love to hear at the end of the video your rankings for every player that we've seen play for Wrexham so far this season. Before we get into today's video, if you're looking for the best Wrexham content, it's going to be coming more regularly towards the end of the year, so make sure to get down there, click the red subscribe button, turn the notification bell on as well, because like I said, there's hopefully going to be more consistent content coming over the next month and a half, so you will not want to miss that. Make sure to drop a like as well. Let's go for 350 likes on today's video, and without further ado, let's go position by position, starting off with our goalkeepers. Arthur Okonkwo, I've given a B. Now it's a very high B for Arthur. I think it will be an A in the next coming games, but given the fact that obviously Danny Ward started the season, I think a B is really right for Arthur Okonkwo. He's come into the side, of course, after being dropped for the first couple of games, and has taken his chance in the starting 11 superbly. You know, he's pulled off some really good saves. He's kept us in the game on multiple occasions, whether, you know, it's Portsmouth away, we've seen him at home in the dying seconds of the Charlton match. His shot-stopping ability is just genuinely a joke, and is that of a Premier League goalkeeper. If we're looking at statistics, 3 clean sheets, a 73.3 save percentage, and like I said, overall he is one of the best shot stoppers in the division, and I'm really happy with his start to the season in the Championship. Danny Ward, I've given a C. Now I don't think Danny Ward was put in the limelight, and of course by his defence in the opening games of the season. I think the defence has, you know, a massive part to play in the goals conceded, and you know, I think Danny Ward was harshly treated by a few fans. Yes, I think there's one occasion where I think, you know, he got beaten at his near post in that home game against West Brom, but apart from that, I think again it could have been a lot worse when he was in goal. I think we could have conceded a lot more goals if he wasn't in goal. He made some really good saves. He looked comfortable. He looked, you know, like he's in a squad where he's enjoying it. He looks like he's in a Wrexham team, and in a team where he's just enjoying his football and can be himself as a goalkeeper, where he's not going to get stick week in, week out from the club he's at. So I've been happy with his start to the season. He's looked comfortable. Of course, we can't really give him a really high ranking because he's out injured with obviously the elbow injury he sustained away at Millwall. So I think a C is right for Danny Ward. Moving on to our wing backs, Ryan Barnett. I've given a C. Now I'm surprised we haven't seen Barney more in obviously the Championship this season, whether it's a start or off the bench. But you're looking at competition, we've got Ryan Longman, of course, he can play a right wing back. We've got Issa Kaboré, who's had a really good start to the season, so I'm not surprised that we've only seen a couple of cameos from Barney off the bench. When he has come on, or whether he started a game at the start of the season, we still see the traits that we've seen from day one in a Wrexham shirt from Ryan Barnett. Typical running down the line, putting those crosses into the box. I still think, you know, he's in there for the most crosses completed, considering the fact he's only played a handful of appearances off the bench. So let's hope his opportunity does come soon. At the time of recording, we've got Ipswich Town away tomorrow, so let's hope he can maybe get starts in the starting 11 and prove why, you know, he can be one of the best wing backs in this league, because he's definitely got the qualities to. Moving on to our other right wing back, Issa Kaboré. I've given him an A. One of the signings of the summer, albeit he's on loan, but again, it's one of the best signings we will see Wrexham make over, I think, the time of the takeover under Robin Ryan. He's immediately become a fan's favourite amongst the Wrexham faithful. He's such a positive player going forward. He's not afraid to take on his man. He has no fear of losing the ball, which is why I think he's so confident and has created so many chances going forward. You know, he's not afraid to express himself, whether it's a run down the line, whether it's cutting inside, creating those chances, putting the cross into the box. He's just playing football like he's in the playground with his mates. I've been really impressed with his start to the season, and you know, he's one of those players that will run and run and run until his legs are falling off. So A, I think, is definitely deserved for Kaboré. Callum Doyle, I've given a C. Now in my opinion, I expected more from Callum Doyle. He's not been completely awful for him to be a D or an E, but I don't think he's fully settled into this Wrexham team. I don't think he's fully settled into the backline and the players that he's playing with. You can tell Doyle is a good player on the ball. He's a good ball-playing centre-back, good pass of the ball, has that good vision. We've seen it, you know, small glimpses I've got on my notes, because it is small glimpses. We've not seen the full version of the Coventry City Callum Doyle, the Norwich City Callum Doyle. We're yet to see that, but I think time will tell over the course of the season whether he comes in and regains his spot. We really don't know, but at this moment in time, I would give Callum Doyle a C. Lewis Brunt, I've also given a C. Now, he's had limited opportunities, but when Lewis Brunt was called upon and got his opportunity in the starting 11, of course it came rarely for Lewis Brunt, but I think he looks really comfortable on the ball, and I don't know if I'm making, you know, a too good of a judgment of Lewis Brunt considering the minutes he's played, but I think the minutes he did play, he just looks so comfortable on the ball, and a lot of fans have said he's not Championship quality, this and that, but I do think, you know, it's a shame he's out for a very long time because I think he could have been knocking on the door to be a regular starter for us this season. So I think a C, considering the games he's played, is really good for Brunt. Max Cleworth, I've given an A now. He just gets better and better and better as Wrexham continue to rise up the leagues. From the National League to League 2, League 2 to League 1, and now League 1 to the Championship. He just gets better and better game by game. 59 duels won, 16 interceptions, 53 ball recoveries. He's a brick wall at the back. He's strong, he's good in the air. You know, he loves a duel, he loves to win a duel, and has just adapted really well to the step up to the Championship. He's destined for the very top. If he was to get a Premier League move tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And if he was to become one of the best defenders in the Premier League, again, I wouldn't be surprised because, like I said, he's destined to go up and up and up. Dom Hyam, I've also given an A, another brick wall and another brilliant summer signing from Wrexham. So late on in the window, I remember being sat here recording that video. I think it was like an hour before the transfer deadline that we did secure the deal of Dom Hyam when he was on international duty with Scotland. But what a late signing it turned out to be, and what a late bit of business we've got, because like I said, we've got a brick wall at the back. You can tell he's been at this level before. You can tell that he's been a leader in the dressing rooms at Blackburn Rovers, at Coventry City. You know, you can tell he's been in this division. His experience, his leadership on the ball, he's strong. Again, like Max Cleworth, he loves a duel, he's good in the air. And I think his composure as well in the back line and his ability to just command the other defenders is something that I'm really, really sure the players benefit off. He's definitely the unsung hero in the Wrexham 11 so far this season. Connor Cody, I've given a D now. On the pitch, his performances have been well off the pace, and you know, I usually hold back and I'm usually quite sort of towards the players and siding towards the players, but I think in these types of videos you have to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself, because it will probably give the channel a bad reputation if I'm just saying, oh, Connor Cody's a B. It's only a handful of appearances where he's been poor, but since that first game of the season he's not looked up to the standard of being a regular in the Championship. Do I dare say he might have lost, you know, a yard or two off of the past couple of seasons he's been playing, because that is what it looks like when he's been playing in this team. His defending has been really poor. I think his positioning at times for some of the goals we've conceded has been that of a League 2 defender, and it is a shame because there was so much hype signing Connor Cody. He's on a big wage. He signed for a big transfer fee from a recently relegated side where, you know, he ended the season off at Leicester playing a consistent string of 90 minutes. So for him to then come into the team and just be as poor as he is, and of course given his history that he's had at Wolves at international level, I've been really disappointed with Cody's performances. I'm sure he's a good player to have off the pitch, but on the pitch I can't see him getting back in the starting 11 anytime soon. Dan Scarr, I've given a B. Now you might think I'm crazy for doing this, you might think it's too high, of course given the limited game time he's had so far, but he's an absolute warrior at the back. What I've seen from Dan Scarr since signing is everything that you want your centre-back to do. Strong in the air, good, you know, when it comes to ground duels, aerial duels, he's strong. He bullies the strikers that he's playing up against, and I don't see any reason why Dan Scarr should be dropped when other options are back fully fit in that left centre-back role. He's a proper old-school centre-half, and you know, he's one of my favourite players because he just does the simple stuff really well, and since he's come into the defence, I think we've looked a lot better with him alongside Hyam and Max Cleworth. James McLean, I've given a C now. We've seen McLean a couple of weeks ago openly stating to the Wrexham fans that he's not happy with the game time that he has got so far in the Championship, but in all honesty, I'm not seeing any signs and I'm not seeing any reason why McLean should, you know, come into that left wing back spot and be a starter week in, week out. And that's no disrespect to him. He's had an incredible career. He's a brilliant player. He's 36 years old now. You know, he's shown that age is just a number. But if you're looking at the recruitment over the summer, if you're looking at Ryan Longman's start to the season, Libby Kakachi's had a string of good games, obviously barring injury here and there. I don't think McLean is going to get that left wing back spot by the scruff of his neck and be that consistent player that's going to play for us week in, week out. We've seen the rumours linking him back to Derry City in January, so we'll have to see what happens on that front. But again, he's a good option to have for the last 30 minutes. He's, you know, going to provide that constant running, that constant sort of just backtracking and defensive side to his game that, you know, you can bring off Libby Kakachi for if he's given his all in that 60 minutes. So again, I think a C is right for McLean. Ryan Longman, I've given a B now. I think he showed some really good signs so far this season in the Championship, and overall I've been relatively happy with Longman. His performances, you know, down that left hand side, he's made a couple of cameos down the right hand side, but you know, we've seen there's been times so far this season, I think it was Stoke away and a couple of other games where he's not really been on the pace, and I think he has looked a bit sort sort of out-qualitied, if that's a word. I don't think it is, but there has been times where I think the wingers have got the better of him. But over the course of the season, consistent-wise, I think he's been really good, and I think a B is definitely deserved for Ryan Longman. He contributes going forward, he gets those crosses into the box. Again, he runs the line really well. I just don't think he's about to jump into the A category anytime soon. Libby Kakachi, I've given a C. Now, I think it's 100% a high C for Kakachi, and I think it will jump up to an A once we've seen him play maybe just 2 or 3 more games, 2 or 3 more full 90 minutes in a Wrexham shirt to bring him up a ranking. But like Kaboré, he's an incredibly hard worker down that left-hand side. In the performances that I've seen him play in a Wrexham shirt, he leaves everything on the pitch. Moving on to midfielders, George Thompson, I've given a C. Again, he's a player that we've only seen a handful of appearances in a Wrexham shirt, obviously due to the injury sustained in early pre-season, but Parky seems to be a fan of him. He looks good technically on the ball, he's a good passer of the ball, and it's just that type of midfielder that will just keep things ticking in midfield. We won't see him be that goal-scoring midfielder in a Wrexham shirt, or he won't be that player that's going to grab the headlines, but again, he's good technically, and I'm sure we'll see 100% of the version that George Thompson is over the course of the season. George Dobson, I've given an A. Now, my player of the season so far by a country mile. I think he's just been incredible. I'm not sure what's happened to Dobson over pre-season, what training plan he's done, what he's done in those 6 weeks that he's had off, but he's come back a completely different player. His composure, his passing, his ability to keep the structure in midfield has just been massively improved in comparison to what we saw in League One last season. He's just a completely different version of a George Dobson that we've not seen before in a Wrexham shirt, and I was kind of thinking in pre-season, how would George Dobson adapt to the Championship, but like I said, I never thought I'd be saying that he would be my player of the season so far. Ben Sheaf, I've given a B. Again, another player well worth every penny that we did pay for him. He adds the Championship quality into the midfield, and like George Dobson, he's a player that just holds the structure really well. When Wrexham were going into the transfer window, we needed players that were Championship quality, that would be up to the task to play against Championship quality players, and Sheaf is one of those players. He plays his role in a solid 8 out of 10 every single week. 2 or 3 more games time, I think there's definitely a chance he can creep up into that A category. Lewis O'Brien, I've given an A. Now, just an engine in midfield. You wouldn't expect it from his height, but he just runs the midfield really well. He helps with the transitions up the pitch. You know, there are times where he drops deep, gets the ball and just immediately sprays it out to the wingers, or will just do that positive drive into the final third and create that chance. We've seen him play a more advanced role that he has played in comparison to, you know, Swansea City and Middlesbrough, which has obviously resulted in gaining more goals and assists. He's on 5 for the season now, so he's an integral player in this Wrexham setup, and one that I think is just going to get better and better, because we've seen him play well so far, but I think as time goes on, he'll be up there at the end of the season for a Player of the Season nominee. Matty James, I've given a B. Now, I certainly didn't expect to see Matty James become an important / regular player in this Wrexham team, but here we are. It wasn't on my bingo card, but again, he just keeps everything ticking in midfield, and another player that I think we value so much for his experience. Again, he's not that flashy player, he's not going to be doing the skills in midfield. I'm just more surprised at times he's lasting a full 90 minutes, because, you know, there'd be times where we bring him on for the last 20 in League One and he'd be the player that would just see us through, but the roles are reversed massively. We've seen his Championship experience, we've seen his Premier League experience, so again, whether it'll last the whole season or not, we really don't know, but so far I don't see any reason why Matty James should be a C, or should even go one step further and be dropped from that midfield, because yes, you can moan at the fact that he's not the player that will score goals, get assists, whatever. He's a, you could say, boring type of player, but when you look at it more, obviously analytically, he's just a very good player in midfield and just keep things ticking with his passes, his structure in midfield and his experience of the game. Josh Windass, I've given an A. Now, I think what you could say on Windass is he's been a bit hit and miss in a Wrexham shirt, and what's crazy about that is the fact he's got 8 goals and assists in 13 games, which is exactly why I have given him a grade A ranking, because you can't be a hit and miss player but get those regular goal contributions that he does do in a Wrexham shirt, which again I think speaks a lot about him as a player. He's a big game player, he can create a chance out of nothing, and I think he's the type of player that has the ability to win any game he's playing in. He's that big game player for us, and I'm sure, you know, it is crazy to think he's got 8 goals and assists already, but I'm sure we're yet to see the best version of Josh Windass. If we can get him consistently being, you know, a goal-scoring attacking midfielder that he does play in this Wrexham setup, consistently getting assists, he'll be one of the best attacking players in this division. Nathan Broadhead, I've given a D. Now, A lot of you might disagree with me, but I have to be honest, I've been disappointed with Nathan Broadhead considering the price tag of £10 million we reportedly paid for him, the expectations and the hype that Wrexham fans have put on him. I think we have to give him more time. I don't think it's a complete write-off with Broadhead because he's got really good history of playing in the Championship before. There's no time to obviously write him off, but this is solely at this moment in time, late November. What would I give Broadhead? I'd give him a D. He's got 2 goals to his name, but in the games he's played in, we've seen small glimpses of his quality, but we need to see that on a more consistent and regular basis for him to become a starter in this Wrexham team. If anything, we've seen him play and score more for Wales than we have done for Wrexham this season, so let's hope he can get that confidence boost and get back to the player that he was at Ipswich Town. Sam Smith, I've given a C. Now, I think the thing is with Smith is he might not play all the minutes in the world, but he comes onto the pitch and he adds a different dimension, obviously in sort of the last 15-20 minutes, and I think he has had an effective role so far this season. Whether he's done enough in Phil Parkinson's books to get a start in the Championship, I don't think we're at that stage yet, but a couple of more goals off the bench for Sam Smith and I think he could be in contention to start. The thing is with Smith is I think he's too similar of a player to play with Kieffer Moore, and I think you would have to sacrifice the sort of the playmaking attributes of a Josh Windass, of a Nathan Broadhead when he is on his day. So I think bringing Smith and Kieffer Moore up front together, I don't know if that would work. I'm really not sure. They're quite similar in terms of their hold at play, their strength. So we have to see on that front. But again, Smith, a C, I think is a fair ranking for him. I'm finishing off the video with Kieffer Moore. I've given him an A. It was never going to be anything less than an A. An absolute steal for £2 million from Sheffield United. And we all know what Kieffer Moore is capable of on his day when he's up front for Wrexham. He's the 3rd top scorer in the Championship. When he gets the right service, Kieffer Moore is going to score goals. It's plain, it's written on paper, it's so simple. You get the ball up to Kieffer Moore from set pieces, from corners, from crosses, he is going to score. He showed it so many times in a Wrexham shirt. He's just, that goal scorer that's going to be in the box, he's going to win the headers. And let's, like Windass, let's hope we can see it on a more consistent basis, because I think Moore will think himself, he could have hit double digits by now easily in a Wrexham shirt. He's had some couple of really good chances. So again, as time goes on, I think it will just show to the Wrexham fans that this is an excellent bit of business. He's that bully up front for us and he's a joy to watch. So that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. Let me know your rankings in the comment section down below. More importantly, which ones do you disagree with? I'd love to hear which ones you do disagree with. On the top of my head, I think we're looking at Dan Scar, Nathan Broadhead. So your thoughts are more than welcome in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in another video. Let's hope for a big 3 points. By the time this comes out, we'll have played the game against Ipswich. Let's hope it's not a 4-0 thrash. Let's hope we can go there and at least get a point. Until then, take care guys. Up the Championship Reds.